Have you met someone who is truly, or who was truly confident? I'm not talking about people who are so loud in their talks, or the loudest in their talks. I'm not talking about someone who constantly reminds everyone that he's successful. I'm talking about this kind of person who walks into a room and with that quiet confidence. They don't need to prove anything to any person. They don't need to compete with anyone. They don't even need to seek attention. Yet people naturally respect them. Have you met those kind of people before? Now compare that with someone who always wants to be noticed. They always want to be right. They always want to be praised. They always compare themselves with others. At first they may look confident, but as you observe them carefully, you discover that there is something wrong about them. And that, arrogancy is often a mark for insecurity. Arrogancy is often a mark for insecurity. Real confidence and arrogancy may look similar at first or from a distance, but they are completely different. So today we are going to discuss the difference. Welcome to Confidence Without Arrogancy. That's the topic we have for you today. Confidence without arrogancy. And what you must understand, that one of the greatest misunderstandings today is that confidence means believing you are better than everyone else. That is what people understand, but it doesn't. Actually, that is not it. Others think humility means thinking less of yourself. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Real confidence doesn't make you look down on people or on yourself. It helps you stand firm without needing to stand above anyone. Just help you to stand firm without you needing to stand above every other person. That is what we are learning today. That's what we are learning today. How genuine confidence is built through competency, character, humility, and self-awareness, not comparison, pride, or external validation. So today we are going to discuss how to build confidence that lasts, not confidence people give you. Confidence that no one can take away. Alright, let me begin with a simple illustration. Imagine two trees growing side by side. The first tree grows slowly. Every year, the root goes deeper into the ground. When storm actually comes, it bends, but it doesn't break because its strength comes from beneath the surface. Now, the second tree grows very quickly. It grows taller and taller and become more impressive. People look at, oh wow, this is wonderful. But its roots are shallow. And the first strong wind uproots it. Confidence is like those trees, all right? Some people, confidence has deep roots. It is built over time through learning, discipline, character, and experience. But others only appear confident. Their confidence depends on applause, attention, comparison, and success that they've made. The moment those disappear, the moment that all these things disappear, so does their confidence will disappear also too. So the question is not whether you look confident. The question is, what is your confidence built on? All right. So many people actually confuse confidence with arrogancy. That's one thing that we must look at today. Many people confuse confidence with arrogancy. Some even become so loud because they want to hide their insecurity. Some become quiet because they are afraid of being seen as so proud. So as a result, many people never develop healthy confidence. So they constantly compare themselves with others. They measure their worth by achievement. They seek validation before making decision. They fear failure because they think failure defines them. All right. So the problem is that confidence built on comparison is always unstable. Very, very unstable. They will always be someone richer, someone smarter, someone stronger, someone more successful. So if comparison becomes your standard, okay, you see that confidence will always rise and fall. But real confidence must be built on something more deeper. So it must be built from within, not from what is happening around you. All right. You see, we've seen that research in psychology constantly shows that healthy self-confidence is closely connected to competence, self-awareness, and intrinsic self-worth rather than this superiority over others. People with this genuine confidence, I have noticed, continue learning because they are secured enough to admit they don't know everything. They don't know everything, okay? In contrast, let's look at it this way. Arrogance often develops when people feel the need to protect a fragile sense of self by appearing, superior. So, but true confidence creates growth, but arrogance will prevent it. Okay? Now, let's look at the first principle which I have for you today. Very first principle which I have today is that confidence begins with competence. I repeat, confidence begins with confidence. You see, real confidence is earned. It grows as you learn. It grows as you learn, as you practice, as you improve, and as you gain experience. The more competent you become, the less you feel the need to prove yourself. You see, many people want confidence without preparation. That's the problem. They want recognition without growth. They just want that influence without developing the ability to create value. But confidence doesn't come fast like that. Competence comes first. Competence must come first before you see confidence. The musician becomes confident year after years of practice. The surgeon also too. Surgeons goes to school. They become confident after years of training. You see, the pilot become confident after countless hours of flying. So, in the same way, confidence in any way of life or in any area of life is built through consistent growth. Stop chasing confidence. Start building competence. Confidence will naturally follow when you build competence. I mean competence. And I repeat, competence. Look at this very well. That someone is preparing for an important presentation, okay? And one person spend days studying, practicing, and preparing. Another spend all their time hoping people will like them. When actually they stand before the audience, you will see the difference. You will see that one is more confident. You will see that the prepared person is more confident. You see, preparation produces confidence. Now, I want you to ask yourself a question this very week, or as you're listening to me. Which area of my life need more preparation instead of more self-belief? Just choose one skill to improve this week, all right? As you're listening to me, spend time developing it. Every step of growth becomes another bricks in the foundation of your confidence. I'm just being frank with you. Now, if competence builds confidence, then why do some highly successful people still feel the need to constantly prove themselves? All right, let's see this. This will now bring us to the second principle. Second principle is saying arrogance is often insecurity in disguise. Arrogancy is often insecurity in disguise. Arrogancy and confidence may look very similar, very familiar, or very, very close, but they come from different places. Confidence comes from security. Arrogance comes from insecurity. You see, a confident person doesn't need to constantly prove that they are important. They don't. But an arrogant person will surely want to do everything. They interrupt people, they always want the last word. They want to be heard. They struggle to admit mistakes. They constantly compare themselves with everyone around them. And do you know the reason why? You see, because they are trying to prove or to protect an identity that feels threatened. But real confidence doesn't do this. It doesn't compete. It contributes. It doesn't even seek to be above other people. It doesn't even seek to become better than everybody or become better than every people around them, or their statement is the best. It just seeks to become better every day. So the more secure you become, the less interested you are in trying to impress others or trying to impress people. Let's see this illustration very well. Imagine two buildings. One stands on a deep, solid foundation, and the other stands on the weak ground. When strong winds comes, just like what they wrote in the Bible, okay, the building with the weak foundation shakes the most. People are the same. Those those who constantly seek attention often have the weakest foundation ever inside of them. Those who have this secured and they have this strong foundation, they remain calm because they know who they are. They know who they are. Take note of that. Now, I want you to do this for me. Ask yourself honestly, just sit down, ask yourself honestly, where am I trying to impress people instead of simply becoming more better? You have to replace comparison with growth. Instead of you asking, how do I look compared to others, you must ask yourself every day, how can I improve compared to yesterday? How can I improve? Be in competition with yourself, not with another person. Let me put it that way. That single shift moves you from focus on performance to progress. We have seen something now. Now, if arrogance is rooted in insecurity, okay, what protects genuine confidence from becoming pride? This is where people get it wrong. Oh, this man is proud. He's too proud. I want to show you from this. The answer is humility. And this will bring us to the third principle we shall have for you today. The third principle is humility protects confidence. You see, one of the biggest misconceptions that I've seen, that I have noticed, is that humility means thinking less of yourself. It doesn't. Humility is seeing yourself truthful. Simple. Seeing yourself truthful. It means recognizing your strength without exaggerating them. It means admitting your weakness without being discouraged by them. A humble person is confident enough to keep learning, always learning. They don't pretend to know everything. They ask questions. They welcome correction. They admit mistakes. You know why this happens? It's because their identity is not threatened by growth. But arrogance will say, I already know. But humility will say, I can still learn. I want to know more. The moment you stop learning, actually, you stop growing. That's the truth. And when growth stops, confidence eventually becomes pride. Real confidence remain teachable. All right. See, just imagine that a cup already filled to the top with water or with tea. No matter how much water or tea you pour into it, nothing can really enter. Nothing can go into that very cup. Now imagine an empty cup also too. It continues to receive more. Our mind actually will begin to walk that way, that same way. Our mind works in that same way. When a person believes that they know everything, they had little room to grow. They had little room in them to grow. But a humble learner will continue to become wiser because they remain open to learning. They become like the empty cup. All right. Now, I want you to ask yourself this very deep question. When was the last time I admit that I was wrong and learned something valuable? When was the last time you learned, you admit that, oh yes, I'm wrong, and you learned something valuable? This week, intentionally ask yourself, just ask yourself this question, and ask someone you trust for honest feedback. Don't defend yourself, please. Listen, learn, grow. Humility doesn't weaken confidence; it strengthens it. All right. We have said competence build your confidence. Humility protects your confidence. But how do we remain confident without constantly comparing ourselves to others? All right. The answer is found in this fourth principle, which we have for you today. The fourth principle is saying self-awareness creates lasting confidence. Self-awareness. You see, the most confident people are not those who compare themselves with everyone or with people. They are those who understand themselves. They know their strength, they know their weakness, they know their values. Take note of that. They know their values. And they also know what they are called to contribute. And because of that, you see, they don't waste their lives trying to become someone else. Comparison creates this insecurity, but self-awareness creates stability. The more you try to compare yourself with others, the more your confidence depends on what they have or achieve. But the more you understand yourself, the more your confidence is rooted in who you are becoming. So real confidence is not asking, am I better than them? No. A real confidence will ask you, am I becoming more better than I was yesterday? All right. So that is the comparison that produces growth. People look at success from other people's lenses, look at how life is from other people's lenses, but confidence look at life from its own lens. All right. Think of yesterday. How am I better than yesterday? Now, think of a compass. A compass, never looks at another compass before pointing north. It remains useful because it knows its direction. So your life actually works in the same way. When you know your values, your purpose, your direction, you spend less time comparing yourself with others and more time becoming the person you were meant to be. All right. Just take a few minutes this week and write down these things. The 3 strengths you should continue developing. 3 weaknesses you need to improve. 3 values you refuse to compromise. Now, review them regularly, every day. No, the better you know yourself, the less you will depend on comparison for confidence. Okay? All right? So, let's see this. Now that we have seen that confidence is built through competence, protected by humility, and strengthened through self-awareness. Now, the question is this. What beliefs must we let go of if we want to build genuine confidence? Learning this principle is not really enough. Transformation begins when you replace false belief with true ones. Many people struggle with confidence because they have accepted ideas that simply aren't true. They just accept anything they've seen. But let's replace them today. All right. Replace these assumptions. I must be better than others to be confident. Replace that very assumptions. Okay. Replace that assumption that I've just said now. Confidence is not about superiority, it's about security. Okay. The second assumption is if I admit my weakness, people will think less of me. No. They won't think less of you. Recognizing your weakness is the first step towards improving them. So honesty is a sign of maturity, not weakness. The third assumption is, I already know enough. Listen very well. Growth stops the moment learning stops. I've said this before. The most confident people I've met in life remain lifelong learners. The next assumption is, my value depends on my achievement. Let me tell you this, achievement can increase your influence. They don't determine your worth. Your worth is greater than your performance. All right. Now, the next assumption is this. You embrace this truth. Embrace this truth. This is where we come into understanding the truth about ourselves. Okay. So just embrace this truth. After this assumption, embrace this truth to yourself. My confidence grow as I grow. Competency is built through consistent practice. Humility keeps me teachable. Self-awareness gives me stability. Comparison distracts me. Growth strengthens me. I don't need to prove my value. I need to keep developing it. Confidence is not pretending to be perfect. It is having the courage to keep becoming better. All right. Now, since you've understood this truth, let's see something. Are you going to change the way you live every day? Are you going to change the way you live every day? Now, let's look at a final question which we are going to discuss before we go. How do we apply confidence without arrogance in our daily lives? You see, knowledge alone becomes valuable when it changes the way we live. So this week, I want you to examine these areas of your life, your work. Are you developing real confidence, or are you spending more time trying to look competent? Focus on becoming excellent. Recognition will follow. So you focus on becoming more excellent. Now, in your relationship, do you constantly need to prove yourself, or are you trying to secure enough? Are you trying to make sure that okay, I'm the best? Try to be at the top, or try to show something that is not really you? Or are you secured enough to listen, learn, and admit when you're wrong? Healthy relationships are built on humility, not ego. That's the truth. Now, in leadership, do people follow you because you demand attention, or because they trust your character? Lasting leadership is built on credibility, not pride. Take note of that. Now, in your personal growth, I'm just giving you some points. In your personal growth, stop comparing your journey with someone else. Measure your progress against the person you were yesterday. I said it before. So, growth is the goal. Growth is the goal. Comparison is the distraction. Take note of that. Now, I want to give you some challenges. For the next 7 days, okay, practice quiet confidence. Now, you're going to do this. Each day, spend time improving one important skill. Ask one person for honest feedback. Admit one mistake without making excuses. Stop yourself whenever you begin comparing yourself with others. Then the last one is record one area where you become better than yesterday. Now, the goal is not perfection. The goal is just progress. Okay. The goal about this exercise you want to do is about progress. It's not about perfection. So, because small improvement repeatedly, constantly done, they produce that lasting confidence you are looking for. Now, what are let's see some reflection questions that you need to ask yourself also too. I want you to take your time to answer these questions honestly. Is my confidence built on competence or comparison? Is my confidence built on competence or comparison? Where do I still feel the need to prove myself? Where do I still feel the need to prove myself? How do I normally respond when someone corrects me? What skills should I intentionally develop this month? What is the one practical step I would take this week to become more confident without becoming arrogant? Don't answer these questions quickly, okay? They reveal where your confidence is truly rooted. All right. Okay. Now, see, we've come this far. Confidence is not measured by how loudly you speak. It is revealed by how consistently you live. So let's see what this means for leadership and for human flourishing. All right. We're running up with this. Authentic leaders, they don't really prove they are leaders. Their characters speak before they do. So confident leaders listen. They ask questions. They welcome better ideas. They admit mistakes. They give credits to others. They continue learning. But you see, these arrogant leaders do the opposite. They dominate conversation. They reject correction. They take credit for others. They take credit to themselves for other people's work. They lead from ego instead of service. People may fear arrogant leaders, but they trust confident leaders. So leadership is not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about creating an environment where everyone can grow. So the strongest leaders that I've seen are secured enough to help others succeed. That is confidence without arrogance. Now, in human flourishing, let's look at human flourishing. Healthy society are built by confident people with humble hearts. When people develop competence, they create value. When they practice humility, they strengthen the relationship. When they become self-aware, they make wiser decisions. Everyone benefits in this process. But when pride replaces humility, learning stops, relationship weakens, trust decline, and communities become divided. So human flourishing begins when individuals stop competing for significance and start contributing with excellence. The world doesn't need more arrogant people. As I'm talking to you, they don't need more arrogant people trying to prove themselves. They just need confident people willing to serve, grow, and learn with humility. Likewise, lead with integrity. All right. So before we end today, remember this one truth. Confidence is not about being better than everyone else. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. So I want you to build your confidence through competency, protect it with humility, strengthen it with self-awareness, live it with character. That is, live with it with your character. Then you in that case, you won't impress any person. You just need to keep growing. Okay? Because real confidence is quiet. It doesn't demand attention. It just earns respect. So this week, choose growth over comparison. Choose humility over pride. Choose competency over appearance. Choose character over applaud. or applause. And this is how you are going to, your genuine confidence is going to be built. All right. I would like to see you in the next lesson where we will continue our journey of becoming. And in our next lesson, we're going to talk about taking ownership of your life. Taking ownership of your life, whereby you will stop blaming everything but yourself. Stop blaming people and blaming everything, but you're going to start blaming yourself. So you have to take ownership of your life. That is what we have for you in the next episode. And until then, I want you to become the person you were created to become. Don't forget, we are on TikTok, we are on Substack, we are on different platforms. Please, I want you to be there. Join us there, and you will never remain the same. Join us. I want us to subscribe, share, like, comment, send this to a friend. Make sure they get this very episode. There are a lot of things that we're going to teach you here. We're going to open your eyes to know about in this place. Don't go out of this channel. Make sure that your notification subscription is all notifications so that you can get our episode firsthand and learn these great secrets and truths that we are teaching you. I would like to see you in the next episode, which will be talking about the power of ownership, or we're talking about taking ownership of your life, whereby you will stop blaming everybody and everything, but blaming only just yourself. Thank you so much. I would like to see you in the next episode.